Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the LCK Spring 2020. I'm Atlas, joined by LS once again, as Hanwha Life look to try and strike back against KT, who just demolished them in game number 1. There was never a moment that we doubted it. After the draft, that was when it was all over, as my good friend LS has already notified all of you. There will be spoilers based on the start of the game as to which team that is going to win. He is just too good at predicting post-draft.
Thank you, Atlas. I did just check before coming back into this game. I'm currently at 37 out of 40 correct in the last 40 games. Okay, so we need to make it 38 out of 41 here.
All right, well, I believe in you. I believe in you. And I think that possibly believing in KT is going to be a good move, as Aiming's going to pick up the player of the game because he got a pentakill. That's why.
That is exactly what's going on here, as he did deal a lot of damage as well. I mean, he dealt an okay amount there, Alice. 45.8.
Come on.
I think if he just did a little bit better, he could have been 46%, and that's why I'm not quite impressed.
Yeah.
But leaves much to be desired, you know. So hopefully he can play a little better here in game number 2.
I think Bono deserved it that game. I really do. He was playing very well.
Yeah, he was my second vote.
Yep.
But you know,
sometimes you have to give it to the pentakill. I understand that. I certainly understand that.
The ship said that only people who vote for Aiming get an admission, so...
Well, I mean, I don't really want to go on the ship. If you saw my recent tweet about how Ejim is going to get to Korea, it's not the ship that you want to be on, okay? It's broken. Real broken. This is the pentakill. This is player of the game right here, as you can see. Aiming, arcane shifting, all over people. Grabbing those mystic shots. 7 out of 9. Thankfully Jonas Strong right there with me. Right there with me. So I don't feel too alone.
Is that his
prediction.
slot?
That is his slot. He is the main observer. So you guys know that Jonas Strong is that guy, and we can blame him accordingly, because he's the one that always has the weird votes, along with me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at what the draft is going to have in store for us in game number 2, and what type of things Hanwha Life maybe have up their sleeve.
And see what kind of substitutions they're going to have up their sleeve as well. Will it be Vista making his way back in? Will Zenit have a game? Who knows what's going to happen? We know that Hanwha does like to mix up their roster quite often, and it might just be that that's not what they're going to want to do. So we'll see. We'll see whether this is going to be the same Hanwha Life or whether the blue side is going to be a different one. And it is confirmation that Lava will be subbing out, and Vista is coming in for their blue side match. And I don't know whether that's necessarily fair. Yes, Lava had a bad game, but he was set up to have a bad game. I don't think it was all on him. He was just playing a champion that couldn't function in that particular game of League of Legends. And that's not super fair, you know?
No, it's definitely not. So let's see if he can get on a better champion this time inside of the draft. But now KT going to be on blue side. Let's take a look at what this can possibly mean.
Is it going to be blue side Ornn ban once again? I think that answer is going to be no. But Hanwha Life working out what they want to be taking away as well. Because the more they leave up, the more KT actually has to ban on the blue side. Because otherwise, they're not going to be able to get any of the... They're not going to be able to get enough of the priority picks with just the one first pick that they have. As Jarvan taken away. Here we are. Bono has been banned out entirely. It's over. Bono's champion pool. Gone.
It's completely doomed at this point. As you just have to wonder. I mean, it might be it. We might already... I might have to call it here, Atlas.
Oh, God. So now because your success rate is so high, now you have to add more difficulty. Is that how it is? Like, you need to predict a victory after the ban phase now. As Ornn's left up, Aphelios is left up. There are so many champion picks that are still available. KT could also go towards the Kalista. I would suggest Ornn here instead of Aphelios, because Kalista and Aphelios are both very strong. However, they're just going to go towards the Aphelios and say, hang it all.
The thing is that Soan is a player that can definitely play Kalista, and between Aiming and Vista, they're two of the Aphelios players in Korea.
That is true.
I know that a lot of people argued between which one was maybe a better Aphelios. I personally on the side of Aiming. A lot of people did like Vista as well, but Aiming definitely had a lot more oomph inside of his play style with it. So Hanwha Life, they pick up Ornn, they pick up Varus, but this leaves Kalista open, and Aphelios is nothing to scoff at. Trundle is now going to get locked in.
Yeah, Trundle to be taken away here. Just trying to subjugate the Ornn, potentially. That is going to be Bono's third rung, as far as his jungle picks are concerned. We'll see how it goes. There's now Kuro with 13 seconds to go. We'll see whether he locks away a support here. It's sort of what you'd expect, and it is going to be the Taric that is going to take place third. KT saving their solo lanes for after the second ban phase.
You know, like the deep mind, like meter, it like goes up and down to decide who's winning. I feel like KT is winning right now. I feel like if there was a robot saying that someone had an edge inside of the draft, it would definitely be KT. Ooh. As Kindred comes in.
Okay, we thought maybe it'd be Pyoshik that had picked this up first, but on this patch, she has been buffed. Gets a little bit more AD per level, I believe, has a bit more mana as well. Just some good stuff being thrown in there for the Kindred. So let's see how this one is going to go. They do have a tank already on this roster. So double AD carry gives Vista the ability to go towards the poke Varus a little bit more comfortably this time as well, if it is Vista that's going to be playing it. So a lot more flexibility here in the draft for Hanwha. I think the Deep Mind may have moved back a bit. What do you reckon?
Well, the Kindred is a little bit interesting because Kindred actually ruins ruins Ornn as his straight up engage. The thing that strikes me a little bit peculiar is the Taric is already present. So now if a real team fight breaks out, Taric might not cast his ultimate until Lamb's Respite comes out, and then he casts the ult nearing the end of it, then his team has invulnerability with the heal coming out of it. And it's a very bizarre setup in my mind, and I'm trying to think how they can wrap it together, because Hanwha Life as they stand right now, Ornn very heavy engage, but they're all short range, and now Taric has an alternate mode granted by the enemy's Kindred, which makes me a little uncomfortable, Atlas.
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that particular interaction, and that is really bad news for the Kindred. It feels like Haru has picked this champion purely based on his jungle matchup, and hasn't really looked at the rest of the map just yet. That's a little bit dangerous, but that's a brand. All right, guys. So if you guys have been playing solo queue ever before, Varus brand is disgusting. Dealing with that lane is just so much poke damage. And if you can land your abilities, it is very, very scary. So
are they gonna pivot the Taric top?
Oh God,
that would be. There is a high MMR Taric top player in Korea, so it's not out of the realm. Yeah, it's not unheard of by any means. The Jace getting picked up strikes me as a little bit strange, but everyone on the side of Hanwha Life, except for the Ornn, very susceptible to lethality Jace, and we talked about how he might be coming back into the meta. The Zoe strikes me as very peculiar, given that there is already an Ornn and what we assume to be lethality Varus.
I actually don't mind it, because KT do have a really strong poke composition, and it works well against the low range of Hanwha right here. Could potentially get some work done, as Maokai is being hovered. Sword, are you here? What's happening? But no, most likely will be Cuvée. Of course, has been playing a lot of Maokai as far as his career is concerned. Of course, not recently. But that will be Tempt playing either the Tree or the Forge God in that mid lane. And we do have Varus brand confirmed. A very rough lane if you are a melee support or anyone, to be honest.
Okay, it's going to be Maokai. All right, we're just waiting to see where everything is possibly going.
We'll have to wait until that 20 seconds does tick down. We're expecting the brand support, but both Maokai and Ornn have been played in the support role, so who knows? Okay, confirmation that brand will be in the support position. Tempt on the Ornn in the mid lane, and the Maokai heading towards top.
Unless they do some sort of a lane swap that is going on. So the thing is that they have double Abyssal Mask or double Sunfire Cape on the Maokai and the Ornn. So the late game scaling cannot be understated here in this game. I do want to see if Varus is Comet or if he is on hit. That dramatically changes what the draft does end up looking like. But Aphelios, Taric, Zoe, Trundle, and Jace Zoe does have a lot of clear targets with her bubble trouble. It very scary. Maokai, though, and Ornn really ruin her life, and they create a lot of problems, but Aphelios has a lot of power as well. This is one of the more close drafts that we've had here in the LCK because they both have clear identities in what they're trying to do, and it matters how they play it out.
Well, you're still going to have to make a prediction, LS, because we need to spoil the result of this match as soon as possible. And here we are onto Summoner's Rift. You have the confirmation that it is Comet Varus, so a little bit of extra information for you there, LS. Who's going to win?
Give me a sec. I'm trying to run through some. I did this with Valdez yesterday. You're gonna need to give me like a minute, okay?
All right.
A lot of these champions I haven't actually seen in a while. I gotta dig through my my memory.
Well,
hold on.
So Brand is like, you know, you like Zyra, right? You're a Zyra fan. Brand is basically Zyra that doesn't have plans. Just does a bajillion damage from the support position.
This is true. This is very true.
I think that KT's bottom lane probably won't be able to lane very much this game. That is what my assumption is. But, you know, you take your time. You take your time. Let us know.
I don't know where G-Sun is. I'm getting a little nervous that I don't have the script.
You haven't sent in your request yet. It's actually difficult because we don't have like all of our sheets that we normally have. You know, we have to do all of our own prep this time. It's so strange.
My brain's breaking, Atlas. It actually is. It really is so close. I feel like I'm flipping a coin right now.
Well, you're gonna have to.
Who I say, I'm going to.
Okay, do you want me to help?
I'm gonna go with KT.
Yeah, good. So it turns out that you did get the email, the script email. Because I got that email too, and it said KT.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's so good to be home, right? Because it means we have access to our PCs, and we can just open up our inbox and have a look at that script instead of having to, you know, rifle through our phones in the middle of a broadcast. This is much better. And yeah, it is going to be KT that takes this game, and I think it's because they're going to be able to coordinate their poke a little bit more effectively throughout the mid game and continue to bunker down. However, I think Haru does have a lot of agency in the early stage of the game, and we'll see whether he can lock down all of the marks, because of course we are being facetious when it comes to the script and things like that, and Hanwha Live do have a lot more keys to victory than they had in game number 1.
Oh, they definitely do. And I want to point out that I think that I think if you flip the coin over and over and over, I think actually it turns up Hanwha Life more often than not. But sometimes I do this stuff in prediction. I'll actually be posting the rule doc on Twitter later on, where sometimes I don't think that the draft edge is big enough relative to the team.
Yeah.
And so while I still think KT is going to win, I acknowledge that Hanwha Life does have a lot going for them. And it is really scary, depending on a series of events that can unfold. If Hanwha Life gets ahead, there's no coming back for KT.
Well, Lehens trades flashes here on the bottom side. Mark is coming up, and so Haru's going to move on over and collect that one. Has the bottom lane with priority, and we'll be able to lock that one down free of charge, of course. Little do they know that the Trundle is towards the top side of the map, so not going to be able to challenge for that one anyway, but really good heads-up play here from Hanwha, showing that they know how to play around this Kalista pick. What the heck? Kindred pick. It's too many K-sounding 80 carry style champions now that Kais is in the meta. It's just, which K do we have? Ugh, ridiculous. Anyway, Haru is going to be going back home.
Every kiss begins with K?
Beg your pardon?
What?
AFK?
You've never heard that commercial?
No, which one?
Every kiss begins with K.
Is that a special K commercial?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, cool. I thought that Special K was an American cereal. We got that in Australia too, so I understood. Getting there.
That's fine.
No, but I actually have no idea. But at least I didn't think that Donald Glover's character name in Community was Childish Gambino. I at least get a pass on that one.
It's alright, yesterday I completely messed up. I said Donald Glover.
I know. It was not great. That being said, you got saved by Valdez having no idea about pop culture at all, so you're fine.
He really is very sheltered, isn't he?
He certainly is. He knows a lot about video games. He just hasn't ever watched a TV show in his life because he's too busy grinding that MMR, you know?
Yeah.
Which we've got to respect. We've got to respect. There's people in this industry, but it is still hilarious. And if you're watching, Valdez, I'm very sorry for calling you out. There's a slight gold lead here for KT as far as their farming is concerned, but this is a slow burn composition out of Hanwha. So not worried if you are a Hanwha fan at this stage. They are going to be starting off this Cloud Drake. Yeah, some low health bars on Hanwha's side. Bono, runs his way forward. Oh my god, the stun was huge, and that is going to be the first blood. Going over to Kuro, a disaster for Hanwha, because also, they just leashed the Drake for KT, who will be able to spike earlier in this game, and if they have a Dragon Soul, it's only going to help more.
And interestingly enough, actually, the Cloud, oh man.
Yep. We're in trouble here in the mid lane as Tempt is going to get chased down by Bono and Kuro, but the Paddle Star misses. He is going to survive for the moment. Didn't even have to flash, so I think I got a little bit overexcited.
Still a little, I mean, well, I don't want to say a little big victory. That is a Rhode Island thing, I believe. But
a little big.
As it is a nice little victory there in mid. You do chunk the orange quite a lot. He is on the Ignite right now with the Spellbook. Kindred really struggling to get anything. You can see the markup on the left-hand side. I think Haru is actually gunning for it. Bono already into the level 5. Kindred's only 4.5.
Oh, God.
Right now.
And now moving on over to this mark. They can see Bono. Oh, God. Yeah, that's a free mark.
Yeah, that's going to be the second mark of the game. Haru actually smiting early.
That is a high roll. That is a huge high roll for Haru.
Yes.
Because he was on exactly the right side of the map for that to be spawning as he's now looking for Soan.
I think they're trying to make this work, but Soan not letting the minion wave come in to allow anything to happen. Right now, it's a 1,500 gold lead.
That's
this
crazy.
Early on. Aiming, doing a fantastic job down in bottom. Take a look at this replay one more time. Kuro doesn't have level 6, doesn't need it. Ends up getting in there with just the heal being utilized to close the distance for the Paddle Star.
And the Bastion with the Dazzle was so clean as well. Out of Tucson, just really good stuff from these guys. And it feels like Trundle just has more in his kit than he otherwise would. Because you throw down the pillar, you slow everyone, and then you get basically a free stun if you have a Taric there with you. Works very similar to that of an Olaf in the earlier stages, if there is a Taric behind him as well. So good to see KT utilizing the kits of their champions very well. And so far here on the bottom side, after what felt like an early game that was going in Hanwha Life's favor, because they were playing around Haru so much, they sacrificed their laning phase. And now they're getting bodied.
Well, aiming down here in bot lane is up 18 CS with lane control right now on the Aphelios. And the Aphelios is such an important champion in the later stages of the game for dishing out that consistent damage when Ornn and Maokai really do try to hard engage. And Kindred on the opposite side of the map right now, Vista doesn't have flash, doesn't have his heal, so even when he dings level 6, it's going to be hard to set up a kill. And so Haru not finding anything. This is going to be Rift Herald going over to KT. And I will say that the gold score at the top, it's not lights out for Hanwha Life. Remember, they get the Ornament Sunfire Cape. I don't know why I'm blanking on its name right now. They get the Abyssal Mask, Forge Fire Cape on both Maokai and on Ornn, which has insane value against KT. And then you're also going to have the Abyssal Mask. There's a lot of magic damage on the side of Hanwha Life, so amplifying it for each other going to be another really big thing. But the Lethality Varus probably going to be, yet again, hard-pressed to really do anything in this game because so much of it is close quarter combat.
Yeah, there is a bit more peel available for Vista this time around because there's a Maokai, there's an Ornn, there's things that can create space, not to mention the Lamb's Respite being able to be set up if Vista is dove on. So it's not going to be the same situation that Lava had to deal with in the first game. But you're right, I think it is going to be one of those games that could be more difficult than not. And of course, Amy will have far more agency in this game because the cool thing about Aphelios with all of his different guns that he has, if he has Calibrum, then he can join in with all of the poke that's going to be going down. Moonlight Vigil is always going to be one of those skills that can be thrown out at range. And then Paddle Stars and Shock Blast can allow this team to siege very effectively. And then you can utilize the Taric and the Trundle very well for disengage. So this composition does have multiple modes out of KT, despite the fact that Hanwha does have one of these double tank, large amounts of damage composition.
You know, the other thing, I really like what's going on here in terms of itemization. Tushin, he comes back lane, he has Ionian moves with the Cloud Dragon super early on. And this creates a lot of pressure because he has so much CDR on his ultimate. And Tarik's ultimate at rank 1 is really long, and typically Tarik doesn't get CDR until later stages of the game. So ends up being very good, but he can trade. Okay.
Yep, Bono looking forward to get the flash out of Temp. Really good pillar is going to come in, but Temp breaks it immediately. That Searing Charge was already queued up as the pillar was coming down. Really clean stuff from Temp to get out, but it still should mean KT have control. Flash Moonlight Vigil lands. Lehens has to flash to get out of the way as this Brand is just stopping there, watching the Varus get obliterated. And Lehens is going to escape, but the AD carry not going to be so lucky as Sohan also has push priority on the top side. And KT say, well, we'll wait on this Drake. We're going to take some plates first.
They have Rip Herald, and the thing about this is Varus is missing CS, he's missing XP, and while the Brand is getting to get all the solo XP, for some unholy reason, unbeknownst to me, he does have Swiftness Boots, first item. So, Atlas, I don't want to talk about it. Rip Herald being summoned down here in bot lane, gonna get all of the gold on aiming on that affiliate.
So big.
And they're gonna have a 4,000 gold lead here. They're gonna pick up Ocean Dragon as well. And if they roll Infernal, it doesn't matter how tanky the ornaments is gonna be for Hanwha Life. This game is just gonna end at 25 minutes.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, if they roll a Mountain Drake as well, it's also bad news for Hanwha because they were lacking in damage anyway with their double tank solo lanes. And it's going to be the Infernal regardless. So, oh God, if Hanwha Life can't find themselves some sort of stability within the next 5 minutes, it could just be all she wrote already in this game. And LS is only going to be even more correct on his draft predictions. Oh God, Haru, he's taking half of his health bar from a Jace with only one Serrated Dirk worth of lethality.
I just want to give a shout out to Ji-sun for all the scripts that she does.
I know, and thank you so much for sending them so quickly to our email addresses.
Yeah, exactly. Take a look at this. Heal was even used right there for absolutely no reason.
Oh, for fun. Celebration here. Although they were dying, so I guess not really much of a celebration.
Brand's build is absolutely Build-A-Bear Workshop, and the other thing about this is that Hanwha Life is super far behind, and yet Vista elected into Umbral Glaive first item. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Atlas, Umbral Glaive first item typically doesn't matter when you're behind because you can't push forward looking for vision to clear out, nor does the vision really matter because the opponents are always coming to you.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like a great one, as we've got Hanwha Life moving on over to try and grab another mark for Haru. You can see Bertha is here, but there's the on-horn. Oh, great stun. Going to come down, and Temp's going to be denied. The Rams return as Lehens just gets bopped in the front line, and now KT are converging. There's the ultimate out of Tucson, keeps himself alive, and now they just move on to the Lamb's Respite, and Haru, this is not an ultimate that's used for himself. It was used for KT as Cuvee trying to get out. He flashes, but he's not going to survive because aiming's there with his gigantic range. I believe he had Calibrum. He did, and that was what was able to get him that kill onto the tree. And Vista watches as the rest of his team just melts.
And this game is all but over at this point. They're going to get more turret plates, actually, up here. Look at Aphelios.
Oh, my God.
Does quite a lot of damage to the turret. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get 2 of those. Kuro says, thank you for the leash. Beautiful pillar by Bono.
Somehow he managed to interrupt the Ornhorn with a pillar, which is really hard. That CC is just not very long.
Right here, Vista not able to join in the fight. Lamb's Respite had to be cast early. You see Cuvee tries to walk back in. Nice flash attempt there by Tushin to try to get the double stun. Wasn't quite able to get it. Didn't matter. Maokai went down in the end anyway.
Yeah, I believe aiming had him marked with his Calibrum as, oh God, Lehens just gets absolutely chunked. And Brand does not deal with poke very well, nor does he deal with a game where he's behind very well. So it's just all bad news for the first brand pick that we've had in like, what, 1.5 years or something like that. We saw the stat up on the screen before. It was Max in 2018 that played this to a loss. I don't know when the last brand win was. Might have been a long, long time ago.
Well, Brand, it was really nice to see him come out, but again, you saw me struggling in the early stages of the game to try to like wrap my head around what would end up happening, and
you're not struggling anymore.
That if Hanwha Life is all behind, it's really hard to come back.
Okay, sorry.
They need to be really on point, and the oppressiveness right now for KT is just it's so obnoxious, and the fact that they're ahead with the Taric in a really good position. It really just spells lights out. 1 minute until Infernal.
3 levels behind Tucson, by the way. Let that one sink in.
You mad or what?
I'm not mad at all. As the Avatar is going to get chunked. Shirley's in there. Cosmic Radiance very early as we've got the Brambles coming through as well, but the Ornhorn did basically nothing. You can see they're holding onto the trigger for a very long time. Subjugate keeps Bono alive, but basically as long as he wants to, and the AoE is going to be available now. Aiming, trying to get some autos. The Calibrum is loaded, but they didn't want this fight. They wanted to take down the turret and move on, and that's exactly what they're able to do.
They're actually trying to get a reset off before this Infernal Dragon, 37 seconds. It doesn't actually matter if they don't have vision of the river because they're just going to walk right in. They will just waltz right in with J Shock Blasts lighting up the vision, with Zoe just basically making use of her R as well as the bubbles, and then they'll be able to just walk straight into Hanwha Life and take the Infernal right under their noses. But if Hanwha Life try to defend, it's probably going to be their last stand, because if they lose that fight and the Infernal, gold lead is just going to be way too ginormous, and the amplification to all the stats.
Yep.
It's going to be like a 15,000 gold lead equivalency.
Gigantic and enormous, ladies and gentlemen. That is a very, very large thing. That's what we're saying.
Right here.
The thing that we witnessed in that last team fight is actually one of the reasons why this composition, why I was talking about it being so good out of KT. It's the fact that they used what was primarily engage in the earlier fights as disengage, which is why the Ram didn't work, why the Brambles didn't work, and why KT were able to get out without losing anyone. Teleport in from QV here towards the bottom side. They do not want to give up this first Infernal Drake of the game, but KT are in position as well. Soan wants to get the Shock Blast over as Trouble Bubble does go wide, but Haru, look at that. The chunking from this guy is just ridiculous. So on the bottom side, unanswered. Is this going to be Haru that locks down the Infernal Drake? Ram comes in. They want to try and turn onto Soan, and they will be able to take him down as Moonlight Visual just pops Haru before he can even press his R button. And now, 4 versus 4, KT wants to get it. Hanwha Life are behind enemy lines right now as the Brambles are coming in. But there's a dead Brand. He's an afterthought right now. He does basically nothing. They'd prefer a cannon minion as Tucson throws down the ultimate. Cube's going to be taken. Temp's going to be the next one, and Vista just going to try and walk out without being spotted by these wards that KT has. Tucson wanted to chase him as Kuro is going to bounce over that wall, but they're not going to be able to find the Varus at this point, but it doesn't really matter if you're a KT fan.
Yeah, the gold lead extends to almost 9,000 gold currently as KT... you can see that they were posturing for it. Bono, I think he was actually expecting Kindred to try to use the Lamp Spike to keep the Dragon alive. Ended up getting out-sniped, which it is a nice little victory for Hanwha Life. The problem is they have like 3 champions that don't really utilize it all that well, given how they itemize. So, while it is a victory, it's more so just a denial, and that is a key point. However, they lose the ensuing team fight. They lose out on all the minion waves that are also happening here. So the XP and the gold just keeps going in KT's favor.
The unfortunate thing is that KT give up their perfect game potential after losing Soan there. So just really disappointing stuff from Soan, to be perfectly honest. But gigantic damage out from Kuro and Aiming. Really great performance from these two so far. And I think Aiming's heading towards double player of the game for today, which is really, really good to see, as Cube is most likely dead. That's he's just going to be stuck in the puppy pit and taken down. 1 auto is going to be there from Aiming, and he locks down that kill. Now 5-0-3. Yeah, he went 10-0-5 in game number 1. So far, he is 15-0-8 over the series. And aiming, we know that he's had his ups and downs so far in the LCK, but when he's on, he is really on. He's certainly one of those confidence players. If this continues for the rest of the split, it's very scary if you're up against KT.
And things are just looking scarier and scarier here for Hanwha Life. Kuro pushing in the mid lane. They lock up Temp. You can see how tanky he is, though.
Just insane. His Tempt is going to go golden, but that's a half health bar on the on. He gets knocked back.
Now, here it is. Here's that sequence.
Very early, exactly like you were talking about. They're going to be immortal and healed on that Lamb's Respite as the Ornhorn comes in. Double knock-up, but who really cares? Aiming down very, very low. Is taken down there. But Cube is also going to fall. The inhibitor's going to follow suit, and KT still win the fight.
They end up raising the bottom inhibitor as well. They're going to actually hightail it out of the base, though. Now, the one thing, though, is that it is a bottom inhibitor, but it's very, very early on into the game. However, we just saw them push a inhibitor turret and just waltz into the base, so probably doesn't mean anything. They do get a shutdown at the end of it. You can see Temp is really far forward. Haru trying to cover Kuro from being able to enter from the left-hand side. Lamb's Respite came out, but then Taric ultimate, granting everyone.
From Tucson as well was just perfect.
So, lots of stuff going on inside of this game. Aiming did go down, which is a big victory. But again, this isn't just deaths and kills. It's a lot of lost minions, a lot of XP going the way of KT. They're up over 10,000 gold right now inside of this game at 21 minutes.
It's probably our biggest early lead that we've ever, biggest lead at 20 minutes that we've seen so far in the LCK for 2020, right? It's got to be. Got to be up there.
Yeah, I think this actually might be the biggest, but for sure. As Kuro coming off of a recall, I'm actually really surprised. I think he elected to finish Morello instead of upgrading the 10-stack Darksteel, which would then grant him the Magi Soul Sealer passive, and also a boatload of AP. So, a little surprising.
An odd choice.
Is that one.
Well, we'll see whether he's going to be able to utilize this Morellonomicon effectively. Remember, Lamb's Respite is a big deal this game as far as healing is concerned. So I'm going to boot back Temp there somehow. That was very, very strange. The Ornhorn not going to connect for the first time. Will find someone afterwards, but now aiming, just going to walk up to the Orn and collect himself another kill. That gives him 8. He would have been legendary, but he died earlier on, so not going to be happening here. As KT push out this bottom minion wave with the super creeps, and we'll be able to open the door to a Baron whenever they would like one. But it's going to be Infernal Drake first.
So we're going to get Infernal, and in a different universe, this would be Infernal Soul going over to KT, but as it stands right now, it's going to be the first Infernal. Trundle does get himself, I believe, he just got 8 AD? Or he got 5? I think he got 8 AD.
Yeah, but it's not too bad when he has no damage items whatsoever. Cube is possibly
no, I think it's 5. Fine, though.
Yeah, Onslaught comes down. Few autos there as Aiming's going to try to take down Cube. He's pretty tanky, but with an acceleration gate and a pillar, good night, sweet tree. That's a twisted advance to his demise.
And Kuro escorting the mid-minion wave, and they're just way too far ahead.
Yeah, it looks like Baron's not even on the menu because they don't have time for dessert. They just want to go home or stay home, which is weird.
The thing that's so surprising about this is just how far ahead and how much they blew Hanwha Life.
Yeah,
basically out of the water. Varus.
Just gigantic damage from Kuro here. He is too far ahead, and as a Zoe that's too far ahead, that is very scary stuff. As Bono gets himself the ultimate out of the Cosmic Radiance, and will just never be going down. Aiming, he's got himself a shield from the Severin, and they're getting to work on the next Nexus turret. Haru is in his Lamb's Respite, so he's going to survive for a little while, but he's still very, very low. There's the Brambles that come forward. The front line here from Bono, though, is very strong and has himself the heals from the Taric as Temp has to flash to get himself out of the way. There's the stun, and Kuro locks down that kill. Low health bars here for Hanwha. They at least have a fountain to try and fight back, but the Nexus is at half health. Temp should be just going down here as Bono goes in for a little bit of a bite, but is unable to actually secure the kill as Haru just gets obliterated by Kuro, and this is all she wrote. KT with the pretty swift 2-0 over Hanwha Life.
And that is gonna be it. So KT with a very, this was the fastest series I think we've ever had in LCK.
Well, for 2020, I think that you might be right, my friend, especially with the fact that we have shorter breaks and things like that as well. With no analyst desk and things like that. We got to vote for an MVP, though, and I think that Bono finished this game with 100% kill contribution on his Trundle and didn't die. Is it time to vote Bono again?
I'm giving it to Tushin.
Ooh, okay, yeah, I'm with you.
For the Taric Suns, set up a lot of stuff.
And the ultimate
set up a lot of stuff, and the yeah. So I'm gonna give it over to Tushin. If I could give an MVP to someone else, I'd give it to G-Sun for the script.
Yeah,
this is exactly what I would do.
And we do get an MVP interview, don't we? So it might be the bottom lane that we get to have a chat with, which is pretty cool. If it is Tushin and Aiming that pick these ones up. We'll see where it is going to go, though, because Aiming had, yet again, another very good game. A definable KDA in the end, but a very, very large one. And it felt like no matter which AD carry that was fielded by Hanwha Life, they just weren't good enough to take down Aiming this game. But it's a story about bottom lanes in their entirety. So I think that Tushin and Aiming both played very, very well this series so far.
Well, I think it was overall a very impressive performance by KT as they continue to make a legitimate run.
They're 6-5.
Becoming
they are 6-5. They started 0-5 LS.
It's a Cinderella story, Atlas. You ready for them to end first?
Yeah, I'm ready. This is KT winning Spring, just 100%. It's got to be, right?
See, this was it. You have to get excited.
Yeah.
If you do get excited, they do win.
But you have to remember,
if you try to not get excited, it's like a spirit bomb.
There is no KT on this team anymore. This is like an amalgamation of older Freaka and Hanwha. You know, like, I don't think the same rules can apply when you have literally zero of the factors that were there in 2019, 2018, and earlier.
I think what really started to happen for KT is that Monty started making LoL content again.
Oh, no.
And so drawing off of that energy from the North American continent, they've been reinvigorated.
Yep. I see it. I see it. Well, hopefully in quarantine, it's going to stop any of the negative energy getting there and they can just thrive off all the positivity that is heading towards KT's way, because after a performance like that against a team that was able to take down Dragon X, remember, Dragon X are a good team, and Hanwha Life dispatched them in that 3-game series. Not entirely sure how they did it, but they did it. And we're going to have a look at some of the highlights here. Look at the Dazzle. Just really great stuff.
And that was off of the heel, so Kuro really knowing his distance. Bono had some really nice pillars.
Oh, yeah.
This game. As pay attention to Tushin inside of this fight as well. Lots of good bastions, lots of good stuns all around, as well as his ultimate. Setting up so many things, dancing at the edge so many times. A bit of a failure right there on a mechanical aspect. Didn't really matter, though. Cuvée did end up going down. Vista, yet again, not able to do anything on this Varus. You know, if we're thinking about an AD carry that would have been a lot better in this team composition, it's 100% like Jinx.
Yeah.
Or some other hyper that has ways to basically be protected by the Ornn, by the Maokai, but also has ways to poke and set things up. Even Twitch,
you can play
as bizarre as that sounds.
You can play a Juggernaut comp with the Ornn and the Maokai, right? Like, that's exactly the style of composition that you could do with having double tanks in the lanes. But with the lethality Varus, it doesn't really work, even if you do have the Kindred there for more consistent DPS. No, I completely agree with you. I don't know whether the Varus really was worth picking twice in a row for Hanwha, so maybe some draft thoughts need to be had after today's match. They still do have time to try and make their way over to the west to try and get onto the ship. It's the starboard side, I believe, that you're able to get onto the ship via. So that's what they're trying to aim for, but not quite able to, because KT just say no. The ticket is certainly in their back pocket right now.
This was just the end of the game here where KT had way too big of an advantage, just prancing forward all over Hanwha Life inside of this game. And Hanwha Life, you gotta really respect it. They are still being a bit different than some of the other LCK teams, but some of their creativity is coming at very awkward spots inside of the draft phase. They've also managed to lose some of the games where they did find really big draft edges, but this one, obviously a lot closer. I had to think about it a lot at the very start of the game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the sequence of events that would have needed to play out for Hanwha to be really favored in the mid to late game didn't happen. And when that doesn't occur, KT's team composition is just going to run all over.
Yep. And as you can see, the Aphelios with a lot more damage than the lethality Varus, aiming having another fantastic game. But I think this was about the support staff. This was about the Trundle and the Taric this game, really making sure that all of the carries could land free poke on their opposition without any threat of dying whatsoever. And everyone did their job, but I think that Bono and Tucson were exceptional this game, despite, you know, aiming being very, very good. Kuro also having a great performance on the Zoe. His Zoe has always been fantastic, but continues to be so. Yeah, we're going to do it. We did it. And kill participation of a 94% is pretty good, but 1-0-16 on the Taric, just looking radiant right there on your screen, as you saw. Tucson flashing out of the way of the stun, so Haru denied his first kill. And it's this Dazzle. This is some POG material. That's what gets you the POG, guys. Great stuff.
Well, they're probably feeling really good about this. We have to wonder how the remote online play is actually affecting KT. We should hopefully hear about that from them inside of the winner's interview, as it's time to get excited again, guys.
Yep. Get excited, and let's see whether it affects them like it did the previous KT roster. Because I think it's worth the science experiment, right? I feel like we should all get excited and just see, you know? As we've got a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to the votes. We were both Tucson, but Korean casters, only one of them voting for Tucson. And of course, Jonah Strong being weird, he threw his vote out once again for Bono. But the other observers, they're all about Tucson as well. So it's very close to a tiebreaker, but 5 out of 9 do go to the man in the bottom lane. And it means that our POG interview is going to be with both Aiming and Tucson. I don't know whether we have confirmation of whether we do get the POG interview. I think it's determined on which team it is and whether they have the setup to do it. I know Gen G did it yesterday, but who knows what's going to happen now. I'm just excited.
KT does have it.
They do? They have it as well?
I believe.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. Aiming has currently Super Saiyan hair.
Ooh.
Not Super Saiyan God hair.
All right.
So you'll see that soon.
So we've brought it back.
We have brought it back. He's powering up again.
Okay. Well, we'll see whether he can defeat Frieza, and whether that is Tucson.
Defeat Frieza.
I think we're defeating Frieza.
He's my arch nemesis.
Is by actually doing a freeze in the LCK. That's how you defeat Frieza. We've got to get through that saga first before we can even get up to Cell or any of those the more fun ones. I personally think Cell Saga was the best. But
Cell Saga is the best.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're in agreement there.
We are.
But yeah, you have to get through Frieza first, which has a lot of filler episodes, more filler episodes, I think, than a lot of the other sagas. But then once you get there, I mean, it's pretty pog for the whole way. I even thought the World Tournament was really cool, and Majin Buu was really cool. There are a lot of great parts.
No, I love Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
I really love Dragon Ball Z. I haven't totally caught up on Super. I've read some spoilers. And I didn't like what I read.
Oh, that's always dangerous, because then you don't really want to do it. Anyway, we do have the interview here with Aiming and Tucson, so we'll throw it over to Jisung for some translation.
How are you guys feeling? Now you guys marked 6 serious winning streak after having such a long losing streak. You guys bounced back so hard. How are you feeling? First of all, I'm really happy that we got this win, and we started with a 5-match losing streak. So we were just going down all the way down to the ladder in LCK. Now we're climbing back up 4th, 3rd. It's our time to climb up to the top. Just like T1, the 13-match win streak. Are you guys also thinking of something like that? Are you guys getting that feeling? Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Especially we used to be rivals, so if we kind of work harder, we will be able to make it happen, but we still have to kind of perform better to become their rival. Then what about you, Tuzin? How are you feeling?
일단 오늘 좀 이어서 기분 좋고
I'm happy that we got the
저희가
win,
POG를 받을 정도로 잘 했는지
but I'm
모르겠는데
not really
일단
sure I
받아서
performed
좋습니다.
good enough to get this POG. Aiming. Pentakill. So, when you are trying to get the penta, what scares you more? Your teammates or the 5 opponents or the 4 teammates?
하나도 안 들려 모르겠어.
So let me break it down for you. So
네.
picking up 5 kills in a
네.
row is harder, or your 4 teammates that trying to steal the penta away from you. Which
네.
one scares you more? Well,
아무래도
I
동료가
have to
더
say my
무섭지 않나.
teammates bothers me more.
일단 쿠로 형이 확실히 먹으려고
Especially Kuro, always
한
trying to
느낌이
get
좀 있었기
that
때문에 쿠로
penta.
형이 좀 무섭던 것
So
같아요.
Kuro kind of scares me. Did Kuro give you that kind of impression?
네네. 그래서
Yeah.
진짜 빨리 먹으려고.
So I really tried hard
그래서
to
했던 것 같아요.
get that penta. And you also got a double kill near the Nexus turrets in the end. So were you kind of looking for the back-to-back pentakill?
거기서는 못 느꼈는데
Not really.
좀만 더 잘했으면은
But
이제
if I
할
pulled
만했던 것 같아요.
a better play, maybe I could have get another penta.
저는 개인적으로 브랜드 픽이 나왔잖아요.
Well, Lyra also has a question because
네.
Hanwha Life Esports, they actually played support brand today.
솔직히
Well, to be honest,
정석대로 하면은 저희가
if we
이길 것
just
같기 때문에
play
전수 픽을 준비했다
well
생각했는데
standard play, it
그게 브랜드여서 깜짝
could have been just easy, but they
게임 시작했을
came up
때는
with a
별로
very
아무 느낌 없었어요.
unexpected pocket pick. So we were a little bit flustered, but it really didn't affect in game.
변수만 아니면 된다.
그렇습니다.
멋있는 것 같아요.
자 이제 5연승에서
KT
2연승까지 갔고
on a 6-match win streak. Now it's time to climb up to the top in the West.
자 그럼 KT 앞으로 두 선수들
KT,
각오 한 말씀 팬들께
what is your goal for the split, and any last message for the fans?
남은 경기도
In the
최선을
remaining
다해서
series,
준비해서
I will do our best and prepare as hard as I can and showcase better and improved performance. And Tuzin, anything to add on?
이제 소윤이 형이 인터뷰에서 뭐 13연승을
So-
하고 싶다라고 인터뷰를 했는데
So the player
보이지
also
않았거든요.
mentioned that we are looking for the 13-match win streak, and we are not really that far away from it.
열심히 하겠으니까
So we will do our best to make it happen in reality.
거의 반 왔거든요, 벌써.
I mean, KT Rolster, they are already on the halfway through that 13-game or match win streak. So wishing the best of luck to the KT players, and this will be the end of the interview with Aiming Tuzin from KT Rolster, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ji-sun, for the interview translation. And welcome back to the I was going to say caster desk and got confused because there is no caster desk. But welcome back to Atlas and LS, I guess, for staring into your soul while we do our best to commentate at the same time. My picture is terrifying, LS. I'm just not a fan. I'm going to do my best to try and change it towards the next one. This was from a photo shoot, I believe, like last year or something like that we did at Lol Park, and I don't know what happened, but things weren't good. But we are going to check out the standings here, as you can see. 4-7 for Hanwha Life. They are falling back down again, but 6-5 for KT. And if they keep winning like this, I mean, Africa are only on 6-4 with one game still to play.
So, Hanwha Life, they fall down into really dangerous territory. I don't even know if they're actually the favorites against some of the bottom standing teams right now, and that is a very scary thing to consider, especially Damwon. They're tied with them right now. Damwon really struggling so far here in the LCK. Africa is one loss away from actually potentially swapping with KT if they're even.
And also,
I believe things are just getting scary.
Yeah, they are. And also with Sandbox playing next, they will be able to even up the scoreline with Hanwha if they get a win over Griffin, who are currently occupying the last place in the LCK so far. And Sandbox did look better in their more recent performance.
And the other thing is that Sandbox will have better points. So they'll actually be ahead of Hanwha Life.
Yeah, they will, because they're only on -4. They'll be able to actually get up to decent points at that point. It's weird to see that they're on such a low point score, but it's because they've been 2-0'd so many times. And that is a big problem. But ladies and gentlemen, Sandbox versus Griffin will be up after the break. Will Griffin be able to turn things around? Will Sandbox be able to continue their success in the second round robin? Only time will tell as we move towards our second but not final match for today. The 3 best of 3s. See whether my voice can handle it. But now I'm going to take a break and make a cup of tea or something like that. You got a plan for the break, LS?
No.
All right, well, we'll see you back after whatever LS does for the next match, Sandbox versus Griffin.